Okay, this is problem number 1, module 5. This is a word problem and it has to do with the system of equations. Wolfridge lived in Portugal and Brazil for a total of 14 months in order to learn Portuguese. He learned an average of 130 new words per month when he lived in Portugal, and an average of 150 new words per month when he lived in Brazil. In total, he learned 1,920 new words. Write a system of equations that could model the situation where P represents the number of months he lived in Portugal and B the number of months he lived in Brazil. Okay, so the very first thing that we need to do is identify our variables. The two variables that we're working with are P, which represents the number of months he lived in Portugal, and B, which represents the number of months he lived in Brazil. Okay, we know that he lived in Portugal and Brazil for a total of 14 months. So if I do P plus B, that should give me 14 months. The number of months he lived in Portugal plus the number of months in Brazil has to equal 14 months. Automatically, I can eliminate B and D. Those are wrong. And now I'm just left with A and C. Okay, so we're told that he learned an average of 130 new words per month when he lived in Portugal. So 130 new words per month in Portugal. Per means slope. Per means multiply. So we're going to do 130 and we're going to multiply it times the months he lived in Portugal, which would be P. He learned an average of 150 new words per month when he lived in Brazil. So that would translate to plus 150, which is the number of words he learned in Brazil. So 150 times B, the number of months in Brazil. This should add up to, because it says total, 1,920. And so our answer is C. Okay, so now let's move on to problem 2 in module 5. This next problem tells us to solve the following. This is a system of equations. The very first thing that we need to do is make sure that our equations are in terms of y. So I'm going to start by moving the x to the other side in the first equation. This is going to give me y equals 2,200 minus x. So that's the first equation. Now I have to solve the second equation for y as well. My second equation is going to be 4x plus 1.5y equals 5,050. I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. And this is going to give me 1.5y equals 5,050 minus 4x. The only thing that I have left to do is to divide everything by 1.5 in order to get that y by itself. Now, I am not going to divide these numbers anymore. I'm just going to leave them as fractions, and I'm going to enter them in my calculator as fractions. Okay, so to solve a system of equations, I need to put both of my equations in the calculator. One of them needs to go in y1, and the second one needs to go in y2. Okay, and so here I have them typed into my calculator. Now, my calculator does not have the feature where I can input a fraction. But you should be inputting these as fractions using the keys alpha y equals enter. Okay, so now if I do, what I have to do is second trace number 5. I need to wait until my graph actually graphs both of my lines. And once it does that, I'm gonna press enter 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Now I get an error, and the reason for that is because if I press graph, I am not seeing the intersection of both of these lines on the screen. So what I need to do is I need to zoom out. I'm going to press zoom, and now I'm going to press zoom out is option 3, so number 3. I'm going to press enter, and I'm going to let my calculator graph. I know that it's done graphing when the lines on the side stop. I still do not see my 2 lines, so I'm going to press enter again. I'm going to zoom out one more time. I'm going to wait for it to graph. I'm going to press enter again. You just have to keep on pressing enter until you see both of the lines show up. I'm going to zoom out yet again. Okay, there's one line. And there's my second line. There's my intersection. So I had to zoom out about 3 or 4 times before I could actually see the lines because the numbers are really big. So now I can do second trace number 5, and if I press enter 3 times, I see that my solution, my intersection, is at 700, 1500. So the answer here is C. The only hard part about this problem was the zooming out part. But if you understand how to do that, then this problem is actually very easy. Okay, so problem number 3, I have to find the x value of the solution of the system of equations below. Our first equation is not in terms of y, so the first thing that we have to do is make sure that we put it in terms of y. So I'm going to start by moving my x to the other side. I do that by doing the opposite, which is to subtract. And now I have to divide everything by 4. This will give me y equals, and again guys, I'm just going to leave it as fractions. I'm not going to try to simplify this. I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, so my first equation is in terms of y, and my second equation was already in terms of y, so I can go ahead and put this in the calculator. I'm going to reset my calculator, second plus 712. Anytime you change the settings in a calculator, make sure you get in the habit of just resetting that calculator. Okay, so I typed both of the equations in y equals. Again, I do not have the feature where I can type in fractions, but make sure that you are using that feature. Alpha y equals enter. Alright, now that I have both of my equations in y equals, all I have to do is press second trace. I'm going to calculate the intersection because that's what the solution is, where the lines intersect. I wait for it to graph. I see the intersection on my screen, so I should not run into the same problem I did with the last one. And if I press enter 3 times, I see that my answer is 2, 4. Here I am only looking for the x value. The x value here is 2, so the answer for this one is 2.